I'm excited to be sharing with you our journey of us first designing, then having a house built in the Philippines. It's been a long journey, the house is almost done. We've essentially got a shell of a house without any doors or windows. We're very happy with the progress we've made with this project. So today I want to share with you how this was all done and talk about what it's really like having a house built in the Philippines as a foreigner. When I first came to the Philippines back in the beginning of 2016 to visit my sister living in Bicol, I never imagined the impact the Philippines would have on my life, and it seemed very far-fetched that I would ever have my own house in the Philippines. But the longer I stayed, the more I fell in love with the slower pace of life, the simplicity, friendliness of the people, and the sense of community. Back in 2021, I got married to a Filipina with a plan for us to first live and earn in the UK, but we still wanted somewhere for us in the Philippines, with a long-term plan of moving to in the future. Which is why also in 2021, we got 399 square meters of land with the intention of building a house on it. I already have 2 videos on this series, where on the other videos I go through the process of us first purchasing the land, having a walled compound built along with a bamboo hut and storage building, then finally getting electricity and water. I'll leave those video links in the description, and all that leads us to now, to the most exciting part, us having the house built. Building in the Philippines has been a real learning experience. The construction methods are very different to where I'm from in the UK, along with other Western countries. In the Philippines, there tends to be more manual labour, less machinery, and different building methods. Houses in the UK are designed to keep heat in, but of course the Philippines has a very different climate. Houses need to be designed to withstand natural calamities that are in the Philippines, as this country faces these issues on a regular basis, especially in this part of Bicol, with this part of the Philippines experiencing some of the world's strongest typhoons. I've also experienced some fairly strong earthquakes while being in Bicol. Areas in this province, along with other parts of the Philippines, can be prone to flooding. I remember fairly recently in 2024, Naga City and the surrounding Camarines Sur areas were hit with some of the worst flooding on record. This is sadly something Filipinos have to be prepared for, because it happens all too regularly in a lot of areas. Recently there's even been protests going on in the Philippines regarding the lack of flood controls. Talking of natural calamities, since I've started making this video, there's now been another strong earthquake, this time in southeastern Mindanao, reported to be 7.4 magnitude. There of course was that really bad one recently in Cebu as well, so my thoughts are with everyone affected. There's also been typhoons that have hit the Philippines recently as well. And yeah, it's like the Philippines just cannot get a break at the moment, so I did just want to touch upon these quickly. But back to the house build. The video that's playing in the background is from my sister's house during one of the typhoons that's passed through their village. So for us, firstly we wanted to make sure that the land we bought wasn't going to be an area that's prone to flooding, which is one of the reasons why we got the lot that we did, as it's relatively raised and not a known area prone to flooding. As for the design of the house, we wanted to make it as typhoon proof as possible. Differently to the UK where I'm from, brick houses in the Philippines are built with concrete posts supported by rebars. These are what make the houses strong enough to survive typhoons and natural calamities. The wider the gap between these pillars, the less strong the building would be. But the materials for these can be expensive. So some people leave bigger gaps between posts to cut cost. But this is not something we wanted to do. It's worth paying the extra for materials to ensure the structural integrity of the house. There's no exact guidelines to what the gaps should be between posts, but for us we've mainly had 3 metre gaps between ours, but then in the middle there's just a 2 metre gap between our pillars, which isn't exactly necessary, but for the size of the land that our house is on, with the boundaries of our wall each side, we couldn't have our house any wider than it is. So we had the choice to either have more posts than what's necessary, or have larger gaps, which then could compromise the strength of the building. So of course we went for the extra posts, which will cost more on materials, but for us it's definitely worth it, so we've got peace of mind that we're confident that the house is as strong as it can be. Although some people would still look at this and think we've overdone it, but I definitely don't have any regrets. But the thing is, we've seen firsthand people's homes severely damaged during typhoons in this area, so we really didn't want to take any chances. Another way to make buildings stronger is to use thicker rebars. On our wall we have 4-metre gaps between the posts with more narrow rebars. But on the house we've got thicker rebars as well as narrower gaps between the posts. So we're confident the house is as typhoon proof as it can be, and can even withstand strong earthquakes. I mean it when I say this, when building in the Philippines, do not cheap out on materials. It's not worth it. If you're offered smaller rebars for a cheaper price, just go for the thicker ones that are more expensive because they will be a lot stronger. And if you're going to spend all this money on building a house, you want to make sure that it's going to actually last, and that you're going to be safe in it during typhoon seasons. Of course, there's a lot of local people, a lot of Filipinos that don't have a choice and are through no fault of their own living in weak houses because they can't necessarily afford to live in stronger buildings. Some of these houses aren't safe during the natural calamities that the Philippines faces, but unfortunately that's just the reality for some people because they don't have a choice. It was actually mainly my dad that designed our house, along with me and my wife's help. My dad designed my sister's house in the Philippines before ours, and then he'd learnt a lot along the way. Our house design is mainly open plan, as you don't really want any small stuffy rooms in the Philippines, but rather a well ventilated open area that's a bit cooler. We know a very good trusted builder who's got a brilliant team, who we got to build our walls and storage building on a pacquiao rate, which is a term in the Philippines where you pay an agreed fee for the whole project to be done, rather than paying a daily rate, meaning on a pacquiao rate you pay the same regardless of how long or short the project takes. There are 2 different types of pacquiao agreements. There's some where they add a percentage to the cost of materials used to the pacquiao rate, meaning the more materials used, the more the pacquiao fee goes up. Some builders that do this could then get you to order more materials than what's necessary just so their pacquiao fee can go up. But thankfully we didn't do this, we just did the normal pacquiao agreement where we paid the same agreed fee from the start, and it doesn't go up regardless of how many or little materials we use, instead having the set fee from the start. However, some builders might not offer this, rather than doing it the other way around that I said, where they add a percentage for the amount of materials used, which is kind of what they did when they built my sister's house, and it's one of the mistakes that my family learned. We're so blessed to have this great group of builders that constructed almost everything on this land and made our dream house a reality. Regarding costs, typically labour is cheap in the Philippines, and the more expensive part will be buying the materials. I honestly can't remember how much we spent on everything, but it really wasn't too expensive for what we got. Buying land and building in the Philippines really isn't the most expensive thing in the world to do. It's a very reasonable country to do this in, which is why there are laws that stop foreigners from owning land in the Philippines. Which is why the only way how you can own land in the Philippines is you have to be married to a Filipino, have a direct Filipino relation, or you can do it as a business. The rules with condos are slightly different though. Apparently you can lease out a condo for a long period of time, but in terms of fully owning land solely as a foreigner, it's not really possible. And I have touched about that on the other videos as well. But going back to our house, once the shell of the house was built, we had the electrics first fitted, then we wanted the outside walls to be rendered to protect the brickwork and essentially seal the house together to protect it. The house can now be left like this as there's nothing really that can break. We're not living there right now, and we are taking our time with this project. All this work done on this land was not done in one go, it's been spread out over years. We first started building the wall in 2022, bearing in mind the land was bought back in the beginning of 2021, so it has been a very long spread out project. We will only have proper flooring and doors fitted as well as windows when the house is going to be lived in, which it isn't just yet. The house can actually be left as it currently is for a while without anything going wrong, as it's essentially a sturdy shell without anything that's likely to get damaged, even during typhoons or earthquakes. There isn't anyone currently living at the land at the moment, so it can become overgrown very quickly. It's important to maintain it even though we're not living there at the moment, just because we don't want the plants or greenery to take over completely, which could potentially even cause damage to the wall or building. We definitely don't want it to ever look abandoned as well. But I like how we've been taking our time with this, and if you are, especially a foreigner, looking to buy land or build in the Philippines, I would recommend you do take your time. Don't rush into buying land, or don't just hire the first constructor that you meet. Spend time in the area, get to know people, learn how things work locally. It's important to do research in the area and make sure it's not prone to flooding or any particular issues. And then when you do finally start building, I'll say this again, do not cheap out on materials. It is not worth it at all. Ensure everything is built well. It's good to monitor the house when it's being built. Stay around, even if it is on a pacquiao rate and you don't need to worry about how long or short the job takes. Just make sure it's all being done properly and that you can trust the people that are working on the building. And by doing this, you shouldn't have any real issues. But for us, this is where we are right now. We've got our completed shell. There's still a lot of work to do on the house, but we are happy with where we are. It's in its own compound, it's secure, it's strong, it's rendered, it's protected, and I'm excited for what we've got next planned with the house. I hope you enjoyed me sharing this build with you and that you found it informative as well. If you did, please give this video a like, subscribe to this channel if you're not already. YouTube does have this new feature as well where you can hype videos, so please do that as well if you can. I've also done a house tour the last time I was there, so I'll be sharing that on the next video of this series. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.